through Econoculture a lot of research and study, particularly as Asian Americans as a subset of the millennials. Now, everyone up here, we had a conference call yesterday, and I've been looking into the millennials through our magazine, Sports Illustrated Kids, because it's basically what marketing speak has relabeled the generation that I believe is identified as 0 to 29 right now. At least Econoculture is
0 to 29, and sort of the 24 to 29 group is kind of fringe. It's sort of like a crossover group with young Gen Xers. Yeah.
Okay. So think, if that name scares you, millennials, because it sounds a little sci-fi. So replace that with, this group was at one time called Gen Y. This group was called the Echo Boomers. If those things scare you, think the baby boomers when they were coming up and they were in their teens and about to become young adults. This is the next wave of demographics that basically many of us in media are already trying to capture through our various means. So Jeff, can you share with us some of the research that you guys have found?
Sure. Is that there is an entirely different texture. There's a different composition to this group of individuals. And a lot of it is being driven by profound demographic and societal shifts. And I'm actually, again, another sign of my advancing age, I'm going to use my cheat sheet here just so I can quote some numbers specifically to you guys. Bob had mentioned 14 million Asian Americans. That comprises the whole of our population, by the estimates, by loose estimates of the Census Bureau. Of that, approximately 5 million, a little over a third of this population fits into this category of millennials. It's the largest group of the Asian American population, and we as a population skew younger. Asian Americans tend to be young, tend towards youth, while the rest of the United States population is graying. It's happening in the Asian American population as well, but we have immigration on our side. We have a birth rate that's still sort of above replacement value. What this means is that there's a group here, as far as the consumer market, that is going to by far outstrip in size and in buying power any of the previous generations of Asian Americans. And yet, I think marketers and media alike are not quite ready to engage with what this group really means. Here's some facts that people have to remember. The first is, this is a generation that is largely comprised of people who were brought here at a young age, 1.5 generation individuals, or who were born here, raised here, and especially educated here. And one of the things we're tracking as far as profound demographic shifts is something that many of you guys may have been a part of. A big rationale for immigration in the United States by our parents or grandparents, et cetera, was to establish opportunity for next generations. And that is translated primarily into higher education. 90% of Asian Americans of college age attend college. That's an insane percentage. And it's actually something that extends even deeper when you look at kind of the demographic implications of that. My family reunion. So that education brings with it several things. The first is, about 90% of Asian Americans are online. Asian Americans at large. About 100% of millennials. I mean, it's something really close to approaching 100% of Asian American millennials are online, and they use the internet in preference of other media. In fact, this Asian American youth are the least likely. They have the smallest amount of time spent watching TV per day of any racial group. They have the largest percentage of time spent online. It's actually about 20% less TV and about 25% more internet time than any other group. This is borne out by what you're actually seeing online. You're actually seeing, a disproportionate influence by Asian Americans in places, like the blogosphere, in places like, user-generated content areas, video sharing sites, and the like. The internet has become the mainstream media. It has become the forum of choice for Asian Americans. And a lot of this relates to what Kate was talking about. The lack of representation in the mainstream media has forced young Asian Americans to use the tools they've been provided. Broadband pipes to the internet, access to computers, the ability to create their own content with easy tools that anybody with a Mac or, I guess, a PC too, can actually, sorry, I know it's a religious war out there, but can actually manipulate for themselves. This is a generation that is fully immersed in the idea of digital content creation and digital access to content. And the biggest thing that this means, and I'm going to leave with this before passing it back to Bob here, is that for media creators in particular, Asian Americans have always been seen as the tail, the trail. Win, place, or show, we're show, right? We're the last people that media and marketers in general look at because of our population size. It used to be African American, Latino, Asian American. Now it's Latino, African American, Asian American. But anybody who's actually paying attention to the very real shift that's occurring in the millennial population should recognize that Asian Americans are the head, not the tail. Anything you're going to see happening in the millennial population overall in the next 10 years, Asian Americans are doing it now. And they are, by far and away, the single most dominant and influential set of users, set of creators, set of sharers in most of the venues that you guys, as media creators, are struggling with right now. If you need to contain and engage this larger, forum of digital content use, understand and connect with Asian American millennials. It's like, how are we going to get the attention of these individuals when they're no longer willing to be defined by a lot of the categories, by a lot of the channels and platforms that we've established already, traditionally? I think that the only answer that you can give to that is, you've got to include them in the process. This is a group that has grown up feeling like it has control over consumption, that they're the ones that decide when they're going to be marketed to and when not, and they're perfectly willing to turn off. They can. Previous generations might feel like marketing to that group is an invitation to buy and it's a sign of respect. But millennials, very often when they feel like they're being marketed to, they say, "Forget it, ad blocker. I'm fast forwarding. I don't want to listen if you're actually actively trying to market to me." The only solution, again, include them in the process. They're used to actually participating, interacting. They're used to being part of the content and the marketing creation process. Super Bowl ads, just this last year, the most popular ones, not just online, but online and off, were ones that were created by contests that marketers waged to have people create ads, like that Doritos ad, for instance, on their behalf. Consumers creating ads. And I think that really ultimately is the future. And Asian Americans, because of the particular circumstances, demographic and otherwise, we're actually at the forefront, not the tail end of that particular revolution. So if marketers want to understand where millennials, where the big buck bet that's coming down the pike in the next 10, 15, 20 years are going, this is an opportunity and not a liability.